Should we buy or sell Enviva partners? First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. So we have alternative energy, and Enviva is here. They are in the biofuel business, 16% from the 52-week low, but minus 35% away from the highs. Here is the company's website, their corporate overview. So it's the world's largest producer of industrial wood pellets, a renewable and sustainable energy source produced by aggregating a natural resource, wood fiber, and processing it into a transportable form, wood pellets. So yeah, and here you can see high growth and durable long-term cash flow. So let's jump into the charts. Weekly data points, this is big picture. If we zoom in, we do see that the blue 100-week moving average is support-ish. There's been some times where it is clean support, other times we dip a bit below, but it's a territory that attracts bulls. Looking at the most recent developments, we do see a buy, and confirmation. So it definitely is working out as a support level now. If we look at previous times, like back here, very nice time to go bullish. Here as well, you got that confirmation here, and it was a key low. Here you got the bounce. So basically, this moving average is very interesting from a more bullish perspective. Looking at the daily data points, we are seeing some constructive action. This looks a bit rounding bottom-ish, potentially a rounding bottom in development. Another thing here is this purple 20-day moving average. You see that, let me just draw it in. It was a clean short level here, and that bearish level has now become a bull level. And if we go back here, this is back in the days, very, very obvious resistance level that when it became support, the bulls got into action in a big way. So definitively, there is some constructive action happening here for Enviva partners. Looking here at these other indicators, MACD reached an absolutely extreme level, bearishly, and that is after it became extremely bullish. So it goes to show you how sort of like bipolar the market is, because this doesn't really make sense. Certainly not when it happens on the NYSE. I mean, the NYSE is very liquid, should be very heavily traded by professionals. Notwithstanding, we do get some wild moves. So RSI has fallen down to a very interesting bullish level, not a screaming buy, but more often than not, it has been beneficial to the bulls. The same thing with multiple PPOs. Daily data points, we do see something similar, and accumulation distribution is corroborating the rally we have seen, in price, and MACD has sent a bit of an aggressive buy signal here. I give the bulls a 5 here on the technicals. The entry signal is 100 weekly moving average support, the blue line. So yeah. It usually works, but sometimes we do dip a bit below it, but so far it looks very constructive. Let's look at the seasonality. So you get the average data here to the right. Around 19th of July usually is a pretty decent time for the seasonality, heading into the 2nd of August. Looking here to the left, over the last 5 years, July closes higher 80% of the time, August 100% of the time. Over the last 8 years, July 63% of the time closes higher, and August is one of the absolutely strongest months for Enviva. So I give the bulls here a 6 on seasonality. This is just very, very, very interesting seasonality. Ideally, we would want to have more years of data, but the data we do have, it is very supportive of the months and the month we are in. So yeah, 6 seasonality is pretty promising. Let's look at the fundamentals. Sachs has a number 3 hold, D values, growth, C momentum, industry rank, bottom 34%, building products, wood. Market cap 3.8 billion US dollars. The dividend yield seems amazing, 6.28%. Is that confirmed here? Yeah, 6%. So definitively massive yield. Looking at insider activity, we do see buy. So the insiders who know most about the business are buying shares. That is bullish. We go here and look at market screener and the consensus estimates. Then we find that 6 analysts are covering the stock, 36% average price target, 68% is the highest, and 18% is the lowest. So basically pretty bullish. I will give the fundamentals a solid 7 here. Amazing yield, decent valuation, and the insiders are buying. So yeah, basically if you are into fundamentals, then this looks good. So here is relative performance long term. Weekly data points, and we do see that there is a 86% correlation with the S&P 500. Let's actually change this one to wood. Just interesting to see. Okay. 57% here with the clean energy ETF, ICLN. Then we do have 82% positive with the timber and wood ETF. And yeah, 10% here with the dollar index, short term, 43% positive with S&P 500, 33% with ICLN, and 74% with wood, and minus 25% here with the dollar index. So yes, it does seems like what happens with the wood ETF is going to have the biggest impact on Enviva partners. So yeah, looking at the weekly data points here, something interesting is happening with this ETF. So if we zoom in a bit here, so this was back in 2016. In this case, you can see that the 200-week moving average is a very clear resistance level. But when it becomes support, we get a very substantial rally. And what we do see now is that that key moving average is very close. We are almost about to test it. So if we do get some support here, that would be, and confirmation that the bullish are attracted to that support level, then yes, that would be bullish for Enviva partners. Here is the relationship between Enviva and the wood ETF. So we do see that Enviva, it is basically forming, it's a bit of a messy technical pattern. You could argue this is a bit head and shoulder-ish, that is bearish. It also is a bit rounding top-ish. If we are going to form a right shoulder, then we could actually rally a bit more. So it would sort of be temporarily bullish. If you look at the history of these two, we can see that back here we did form a head and shoulders pattern where you did get a bit of a rally. Here, well, this was actually more of a rounding top pattern. So let's look a bit at the seasonality for these two. So yeah, so we usually see some pullback here heading into the 21st of July, meaning Enviva weakens against the wood ETF, but then we see some outperformance. But you can see that the seasonality between the two is very noisy. It's a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, so let's now compare wood with the S&P 500. So this is potentially a bit interesting because we do have a key pattern here. Let me draw it in. It is an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Beyond that, we can also make a pretty strong case that we are forming some kind of low here. We got some key support in this zone. There's a change, we have gone from clear underperformance to now more consolidation. So let's look at what the seasonality projects like that. So over the last 10 years, we usually see a bit more weakness into 19-ish of July, but then we see that wood outperforms the S&P 500, leading into the 19th of August. In blue, over the last 7 years, usually outperforms in the same period, and the 7, yeah. So basically across all the seasonality timeframes, usually a bit more weakness, but basically the seasonality is favorable for wood. So I do give the bulls a 4 here on relative performance. So we do end up with a 5.5 in favor of the bulls. The key line in the sand is 100 weekly moving average support. That is, the stop loss level. So yeah, things are, it's looking pretty interesting now for Enviva. So let's look at some other securities. Here is Pega Systems, weekly data points, and it's one of those that has given back all the gains it has made. But it has fallen down to a level where back here it was very viable, here and here as well. Does that mean that it is definitely going to go up again? Of course not. It is simply a question of risk. That is always the thing when evaluating whether to go long or short, bullish or bearish. So is this setup in Pega Systems favorable for the bulls or the bears? If you do not have any position in Pega Systems, what would you do? This looks very dangerous from a short seller perspective. We have already seen a very substantial pullback. Fact is, Pega Systems has been much higher in the recent past multiple times. During this rally, massive appreciation of the stock, and also during the 21 rally. Looking here at, let's take the RSIs and the PPOs. Many times this level has created a massive rally. So this looks more interesting from a bullish than a bearish perspective. But obviously, now I'm just running through charts in order to make a fully determined decision. You need to look at seasonality, the fundamentals, and relative performance. Here is Palantir Technologies, weekly data points, and it is pretty clear to me that the bears are very fond of the 20-week moving average here in purple. It's a nice level to put on short positions, and it's been working out pretty well for them so far. And we can see that the bulls, they really struggle as they approach that moving average. So as long as we are below it, then the bears will just keep doing what they have been doing. Yeah, on the dailies here, it seems like the blue 100-day moving average is like the level that the bears like and the bulls fear. On the topic of the purple 20-week moving average, something interesting here is happening with C3AI. So bears, they just come back here to make money, make some more money, but now it's getting a bit dangerous because the bulls, okay, so now I'm going, okay, here it disappeared. So the bulls have been able to now get above the purple 20-week moving average. Beyond that, we also see that the bulls are forming a pretty substantial rounding bottom. That is a bullish technical pattern. So this is looking very interesting from a purely technical perspective, with the bull hat fully on. Here is Lifeway Foods weekly data points. The interesting thing about this stock is that it is in a trading range. So here is the low end of the range, and if we can get the red color, then you can see that around here is the high end of the range. The nice thing about these ranges is that there is a lot of history and precedence for buying this low end of the range and selling the higher range. And these kinds of securities, they can be very profitable because on the one hand, you can make money when you have a rally, like this one, 52%. But even better is that because of the ceiling, there's going to be so many times where you can put on a short position that has a decent probability of being profitable even during a bull market. So if you take this short here as an example, all the way down here, it would be a minus 36-ish% short. So Lifeway Foods currently at support. Based on the history, the expectation is that the bulls will be able to capitalize on the opportunity. Having said that, if a long-term support level is lost, that is very bearish. If a long-term resistance level is, broken out above, then that is very bullish. So yeah, to get more info, then just go to diamondarm.com.